Hello, everyone. It's Allison, and I'm here to present to you the first episode of Mind Your Body. So, thank you, everyone who took the time to vote on your preferred topic of interest as far as tips and tricks to take care of your mind and body. So, I thought I would introduce mindfulness. That might be a new topic for some of you. And by the end of this episode, we're going to find out that you're probably practicing mindfulness without even knowing it. So to begin, mindfulness is a form of meditation. Okay, so when we start getting into some of their episodes and we're talking about different practices, some of them might actually fall more under other forms of meditation and maybe not necessarily mindfulness. However, most of the practices I do are mindfulness based, and I've been teaching mindfulness to various groups of people. I've taught it to university students as a 3 credit hour course. Okay, so these fourth and third year students very stressed out. I've also taught it to people with chronic pain and individuals with PTSD through programs. So what do they all have in common? It is stress, okay? And the number one thing I want to say is that our body has the capacity to deal with stress. It has the capacity to go into this system called the sympathetic response and allow our resources to be used to take care of that stress. This is a very primitive response that our body has from when, for example, animals might have danger in the wild and they need to take care and they go in that stress response and then they come out of it. And the difference with humans, because of our evolution and our brain having this beautiful thinking brain, we're able to ruminate or fixate on things which can keep us stuck in a state of stress. And sometimes that ends up presenting even in the body. If you're not able to release that stress response physically, sometimes we can end up holding tension in the body too. So the reason I wanted to bring that up is we all have things that we do in our life that help with stress. Mindfulness is just another tool in your toolkit to help. And it's highly related to, when you practice it, experiencing the benefits. Related to sleep, related to perhaps improved digestion, and maybe related to feeling more positive emotions, perhaps, right? Because if we come out of that state of stress, we're coming into the other state, which is the parasympathetic response, the rest and digest. It's where our brains can work to process information, and we come up with really good ideas, and our minds are just at that more relaxed state, and our bodies are too. So this is just a matter of introducing practices that'll encourage your mind and body to come back into that state, especially if you are feeling stressed. So part of that mindfulness definition that I like to use is coming from Jon Kabat-Zinn. So he's one of the main creators of mindfulness, and he is out of Massachusetts. He's actually a researcher there. He has a PhD, and he clinically uses mindfulness in programs to help people with chronic conditions and chronic pain. It really is to complement the other medicines that they might be getting or the other tools that they might be using in our Western world. And so he created this program, and it involves both the formal and informal practices. So as the weeks go on, or perhaps months, depending on how long we do this, I'll be introducing some of these practices to you. And so what I want you to consider today is that mindfulness is a skill. And the more you practice it, the better you get. So if you think about, I like to use the example like swimming or throwing free throws. You could read about that all day long in a book, but until you actually go and practice it, then you're not going to get better. So I like to include these practices a little bit at a time. And if you're new to it, go easy on yourself. That's part of that non-judgment part of the definition at the end, to pay attention in the present moment on purpose and without judgment. You want to be present with yourself when you're practicing these things and go easy. You're learning this new skill. So on that note, I wanted to come back to this concept of that you're probably already practicing mindfulness. So if you consider something in your life that you really enjoy doing, or a moment in time where you can remember you're just completely in that moment and there's no other thoughts and there's nothing really consuming you other than that particular event, then that would be a moment of mindfulness. And that would be a moment in time where you are being present and you are paying attention perhaps a little more thoroughly, and you're not being judgmental towards yourself or other, because there's no need for it. You're just in that moment. So I thought it'd be fun if you wanted to share those experiences that you've had below. So I can start. One of those things I would say for me is when I'm laying down um, with a pet. So I have memories of laying down with my dog growing up, and right presently I have a cat. So laying down with my pet and just feeling like there's no other worry in the world, right? That time stands still, and here I am just enjoying that moment. Okay, so that's my example. But if you want to, just think of some of your hobbies that you have that you might actually go into that state, then you're practicing mindfulness. And that moment in time, you're likely in that state of rest, digest, that flow. And if you're someone who likes to be active, maybe it's while you're exercising, but you're just reaching that state where nothing else matters. So if you want to share that with me, I'd really appreciate it. And we're going to get into a few more practices as we go. But that's mindfulness in a nutshell, and I look forward to sharing more with you. Talk to you soon.